I was thinking. I was disturbed the other day by telephone calls trying to get me to buy stuff and to participate in the ongoing car crash that is human society. Has this ever happened to you? Hello?
Oh, hello. Would you like a load? Very good price. That's cool. No problem.
No thanks, goodbye. Hello?
Hello, mate. Are you interested in saving the penguins?
No thanks, the penguins are fine, goodbye.
Good evening, sir or madam. My uncle has just
No,
won
I'm not.
14 million
No.
Canadian dollars.
No thank you, goodbye. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Rockall-Schmidt.
Hang on a sec.
Would you be interested in having your war cavities filled?
No thanks. Yes?
Hello, I am calling on behalf of British
Do these scenes look familiar? Well, I'm going to give you some very basic advice on how to stop telemarketers without resorting to wonderful violence. Don't worry, I'm not turning into a how-to channel, but let me level with you here. I was once a telemarketer and I've learnt a few things, not least how to live with a shame, although only just. Those 3 weeks were some of the worst of my life, and I was hard principally because I can do a posh voice, innit? Because I certainly don't relish suddenly talking to people who were until now enjoying not having me in their lives. Particularly disgruntled members of the general public who are having a nice dinner, wank, movie night, or all of the aforementioned. Once I called someone whose mother had literally died 20 minutes beforehand. I apologised and then 20 minutes later was reconnected to her by the automatic dialer. Can you imagine not only what a twat that makes me look like, but what a twat that actually does make me? My god, it all makes that winter I was a postman on the Gaza Strip look like tea and scones. Scones? We're going with scones, even though it should be scones. So here's the meat of it. If you're getting bothered by these oxygen wasters, you want to subscribe to your National Do Not Call register. Type that phrase into Google. There are other search engines available, but they're all shit. Put in your country's name and register with them. In the UK, it's the Telephone Preference Service. In India, it's the Do Not Disturb registry. Really, they're all the same, but they have different levels of efficacy depending on how willing they are to bend and misinterpret legislation and industry regulations and what the definition of is. Now, sly dog that you are, you can also tell any cold caller that you're part of these registers, even if you're not, and usually, well, sometimes they'll brown their trousers and get lost if the planets are aligned. And importantly, they'll update their information and they won't call you again because it's a waste of their time. Well, I mean, maybe. That's assuming that they don't have software that stopped giving a shit around the same time as George W. Bush. I always used to answer my phone by saying I was the local police station, and they never seemed to like that. Though maybe telling cold callers they've reached a suicide hotline might be quicker, but you might run the risk of encouraging them to stay. It's a truly soulless job that isn't usually very well paid unless you're Levine the Machine and you won't go to lunch. And frankly, I really would honestly prefer to be a toilet cleaner at an unsuccessful chili cook-off radio than do it again, and that's not the reason you shouldn't be rude to the person who's calling. Yes, they're probably just a student or someone who's struggling to make ends meet and not just live under a couch under a freeway rather than be a telemarketer, but the place I worked had an unwritten rule, just in case you were under any doubt that they're run by steaming piles of dog turd by the fact that we were deliberately targeting old people, that anyone who was rude or simply hung up would be called again, repeatedly. I don't know why that would happen, seeing as it's time spent as well as straightening a sausage, but I think it's something to do with being told to fuck off 15 times a day, turning people into a social menace. Callers doing surveys love to say to anyone holding the Do Not Call register card that they're not selling anything, so it doesn't apply, which obviously changes everything, doesn't it? Well, I did say I wanted you to paint my house any colour but purple, but as you burnt it down, I can see you understood my wishes completely. But usually, if they ask for a follow-up call, that's when they start asking if you'd like to aluminum plate your own head or if you've ever considered investing in landmines. If they're not put off by your assertion that you're on a surprisingly long list of people who don't want to speak to them, you should tell them to put you on their Do Not Call list and say please don't call again and hang up, and if it stressed you out, why not go on your exercise bike? The dynamo could do with a charge and cheer up. Tomorrow's Soylent Green Day. Official advice may caution against it, but then official advice also says to only have sex lying down or that drinking tap water is safe, and sometimes you need to be firm with cold callers and tell them to fuck off and die, in a nice way, because it's not their fault.
But most Germans killed by the French resistance in Paris were just 17-year-old boys doing what they were told, and I still don't blame any Frenchmen for garroting them.
If you're at a loose end and have no problem with costing some probably desperate shadow of a human being their job, you can always string them along. But I advise if you're going to do this, pretend to be really interested and talk to the manager, because getting one of them rubbed off the smiley face whiteboard will cost you about as much karma as sneezing at an empty train station. The managers are the ones the executives have identified for their ruthlessness when dealing with staff and going after marks, and that's all you are to them, just a mark, just a number, but you can show them, you can show all of them. You can probably see for 5 miles from the clock tower. Oh no, wait, I've done that bit. Robocalls are impossible to say any of this to. Well, not impossible, they're just largely unresponsive, which is exactly what you want in your average salesperson, alongside a couple of bullet holes and a DNR order, but I do jest. Well, not really. To get rid of them, unless your telephone number, or even change it, and never give it to anyone you can't trust with it. The charity drawn in the street, the supermarket offering a reward card, the banana society, your own children. They all want your telephone number so they can call you begging for money or sell it to the highest bidder like your phone number is one of a million keys on a fob that definitely contains the key to a lockbox containing just enough sweets and office kudos that means they'll survive until tomorrow. Just a thought. Someone once called me and asked me on a scale of 1 to 10 how hard I found it to concentrate, and I said yes, yes, yes indeed.